So this is Moodle on AWS, and in this session we're going to explore how do I create a distributed scalable system using the many features of AWS. So there are a couple ways we can get started, okay? And there are two options for people. There is what's called vertically scaled, which means everything's on a single server. This is great for small and medium enterprises just to get started. There's a single point of failure though, because everything's in one place, but it's simple. It's very easy to back up, and you can just do a one click with Amazon Instant Snapshots. What we're going to be setting up in the next few videos will be a horizontally scaled architecture, just because it really lets you see all the features of AWS and how to actually distribute components so that everything scales much better. And it's way easier to move to, say, 1 million users. So vertically scaled, you do have limits. Once you can't increase that server anymore, it doesn't grow. But with horizontally scaled things, it's very easy to keep adding more and more servers. Okay, so what a vertically scaled architecture looks like would just be like one house. So just like this. Okay, so basically everything's on one server, and we're going to be setting up Moodle, Apache, and PHP. The file system will be on the local disk, and the database is a SQL server. So in the vertically scaled, you do have everything jam-packed into one machine. So if that machine fails, you do have problems. But you could do a virtual machine on AWS, and at least you have a lot of the benefits on the cloud and a lot of the simplicity. What we're going to be doing though in this video, in the next few videos, is what's called a horizontally scaled architecture. Now let me just take you through why this is super interesting. So first, all your DNS entries will be on AWS Route 53 hosting. So even if your server fails, people will still know how to get to your domain. Maybe 10 years ago, we'd have to host our own DNS servers, and if those failed, then everything else failed, right? So now we can put our DNS onto AWS Route 53. Second is, instead of giving an IP address of a server, which we would do with the vertically scaled, we're going to give an address to the load balancer. And what the load balancer does is it says, okay, which server do I choose? I could either choose this server, or I could choose that server. And if one server fails, the application still runs, just because we're hitting a load balancer instead of a single server. Okay, with the Moodle application, it's a learning management system. It does require a file system as well. So we're going to be using AWS S3. We use this so that all these servers can access a centralized file system managed by AWS called S3. Okay. Second is the database application. We're going to be hosting it on AWS Aurora. It's AWS's version of MySQL. It's pretty cool. Basically, it allows you to easily do very complex things. For example, when we create a database, it's very easy to say, let's make 6 copies, 5 for reading, 1 for writing. So again, on that single vertical server, there's only 1 copy. If I'm on AWS Aurora, I can easily make 6 copies or 15 copies, so on 15 different servers, which means my capacity to access that database is far better. And lastly, we're going to be using AWS Elasticache, meaning instead of querying this database first, this acts as your shield. It says, let's check first here if you have the answer. If you have the answer, no need to go to the database. We'll just send it right back. So again, it makes everything perform a bit better. And this is what we're going to be setting up. So we'll just be doing phase 1 first. And phase 1 is just a basic installation. So step 1 would just be all the prep work. And we're going to go up to step 3 in this video. Okay. Okay, so AWS Aurora, AWS EFS, and creating our first AWS instance. All right, so AWS Aurora, super easy. we're actually gonna keep the database I have, but I'll guide you through the process. So here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna type Aurora, okay, and I'm gonna click RDS, okay, and all you're going to do once you do hit that RDS is you're going to just click create a database here, and then put the settings that I shown. So you're gonna click AWS Aurora, MySQL compatible. Okay, you're gonna choose a cluster identifier. Here we'll type Moodle database temp, or since it's a temp account, let's type admin123 for the master password. Since this is mostly practice, this would cost a lot of money. So just click burstable. It's not, you don't do burstable in real life, but you do burstable when you test stuff because this is the cheapest version. We could say what kind of replication. So let's keep it simple first. Let's click don't create an Aurora replica. Let's use the default VPC. And actually we can click no. So there won't be a public IP address. This will only be accessible by your internal servers within that kind of subnet and VPC. Now, availability zone, we could choose where we prefer, which part of the US East we prefer. And that's it. You just create the database. So I already have my database created, so we're not gonna click create because it's already there, but you could actually see it. So that's what I typed, and then you click databases. You're gonna be able to see this database I created called database Moodle test. Alrighty. Okay, next part is we're going to create a file system. This is going to be a distributed file system on S3. So once we create our AWS Aurora database, we need a centralized file system. So we're going to create an AWS EFS, right? So EFS, we type EFS, click EFS. And really easy, we're just going to click create file system. I already have it created, so here we're gonna just type Moodle data temp version 2, right? Because I already have mine done. I'm actually just gonna click. I could click one zone, so it's simpler. So I'll just actually click. We'll use regional today, so to keep things simple. Okay, so let's click regional, so I could I'll share this across multiple availability zones, and that's pretty much it. So we created our file system called Moodle data temp v2, and you only get charged for what you use. So here we already have this file system, and we should be good to go. So check it out. And this will, when we click it, we're going to have, see, it still uses 0 bytes, so we won't be charged much. And we can click network and see how access points, and we'll be able to create access points and how to attach it. And this is the attach. This is going to be the attach command that we're going to use when we do attach it on the EC2 instance. Okay, so now we have our database set up and we have our shared file system set up. Lastly, let's go out and launch a new virtual machine, right? So I'm actually just gonna call this demo Moodle, this virtual machine. So here you can already see I'm ready just to call it Moodle. So we're gonna call launch instance. Then I'm gonna click launch instance from a template. Okay, then I'm just gonna choose we're gonna choose one from the marketplace. Let me just find one. Okay, launch template, launch instance. Actually, we're going to click EC2, launch instance. I'm just gonna click launch instance this time. Okay, so not launch instance from template, just click launch instance. Not launch, just click launch instance, and we're gonna click this Amazon Linux to AMI. So click launch instance first, and then we're gonna click Amazon Linux to AMI. Click yes. So we have that running. T2 micro. Okay, this is called free tier. You want to keep it free. One instance first. And then we're going to just, all these things are okay. So you could just click next. Add storage. You have to do 8 gigs. So we're going to say yes, 8 gig is okay. Add tags, no. Configure security group. So here you can make a new one. But you wouldn't want this because this would only allow for SSH. I'm going to select an existing one I created. And this is, I actually call this the allow everything firewall group. So here are all the rules attached. Basically, it just allows all traffic in and out. This is not great for security, but this is important just to keep the demo simple so you don't have to fiddle with a lot of rules. So this 2083 ports, those are for the network file system, etc. So I do have, just you could just have one for all traffic to begin with, and then you narrow it down to least privilege, right? So you could start off with very generic and then whittle it down. So after that, review and launch. And pretty much we just click launch. And I already have an existing key pair, so you do need to have a key pair. You could always create one, but I have a key pair that I use, and that's pretty much it, right? So I'll click launch instance, and my instance will be made. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the next video when the instance is launched and set up everything for Moodle.